Hi folks, this is part 3 of the BSR 101 assembly series. Right, I took a bit of time assembling the mechanism. I was going off this rather, going off that drawing, but we're all back together as you can see. We're all complete, we all work, everything's back where it should be. No problem with any of this, it's all working, it's all been tested. What we're going to do now, we're going to go through the lubrication of the unit and we're going to lubricate it. Now I need to find my lubrication chart. Who's got my lubrication chart? Where's my lubrication chart? Right, I need to find my lubrication chart, folks, because we're having a bit of an issue here as to where my chart is, because we need to know let's have a look. Page is that one there, 7. This is a 1974 deck list, folks. Okay, 1974, eh? And it still works. Right, there's the adjustments. We don't need to worry about the adjustments just yet. I'm trying to think where my lubrication is. Assembly service information. That's what's under. Yeah, we know all about that. But I need to know my lubrication up. I need to know what needs to be lubricated. I read it all out before and I knew, but change cycle, operation automatic play. Here we are. Here we are, lubrication. Right, well what I'm going to do, I'm going to lubricate parts that do get lubricated. And I'm going to lubricate parts. I'm going to lubricate parts that are not on here because I know they get lubricated. I know they're supposed to be lubricated because you don't have metal on metal and shit like that. So what we're going to do, we're going to start by putting a bit of lubrication here. Only a little bit. Just enough so we don't get metal on metal. There we go. There you go. Just so we don't get metal on metal in certain places. You know, so we don't get metal on metal contact. Put a little bit here and there. There we go. Pin a little bit onto here. Onto the push pad. Going onto there. Don't need a lot. A bit down there. Look a bit on here where things move. Look a bit on the back of the the arm unit there. Now, and that's pretty much it. It doesn't need much more than that. We'll get a little bit of grease on the ball bearing here. Bit of grease in there, wipe off the excess. There we are. Now what we can do now, we can reinstall the ball race at this point. We can start with the little O-ring. Now we can start with the, wherever they are, where's the bloody ball bearings? There we go. Right, we've got the ball bearings, and this unit's already been cleaned. So we'll just put a bit of grease into that. Oh, that's already been cleaned. It's just needs a bit of grease putting into it. There we go. There we go. How about that? There we go. Now, a bit in there. It tells you to put a bit in there to lubricate the cam. A bit down there to lubricate there. Right. This pawl here has already been serviced. What you do with that, you generally take that off and just make sure that that can move freely, and it can. I'll just show you again because I don't think we've got it on camera. This pawl here, this is called a pawl. A P-O-U-L, I think it's spelt. But it's basically, it has to have free movement, and that one does. That's perfect. You do not put oil on here. You can dribble a bit down there, but you do not put oil in between the two plates of the pawl. You don't do that, because otherwise, when the velocity trip, I like that word, when the velocity trip comes along and hits it, it can't push it out because it binds. It binds and causes the record to stick. So therefore you don't lubricate the pawl. I don't know how many times I have to say this, but people lubricate it, and you shouldn't. And I mean, you get people who say, well, we were taught this or we were taught that. I don't give a fuck what you were taught. You just don't fucking lubricate it. It tells you in the manual not to lubricate it. So you don't lubricate it. I mean, what's the fucking point of the manual? What's the point in having the fucking manual if you ain't gonna listen to it? Do as it tells you. You know? You do not lubricate the fucking pawl. There's a couple of other bits you do not lubricate. I will go through the lubrication procedure again. There we go. Push the clip on. There we are. Now let's test. Hold that straight. There we are. Up. So we'll go on. Hold that out of the way. So just hold it so it's straight. Up. Just jam that up there. There we go. Now hold that down. Record finishes. No more records. And off. Do that so you can hear it click. Look at that. Let's go one more. Oops. Perfect. I am happy with that, folks. That works really well for me. Just make sure the centre spindle fucking pulls in as it should. Where is the centre spindle? It's here somewhere. Where are you? Where's the spindle? It's here somewhere. I know it's here. I know I haven't lost the spindle. I know it's here somewhere. I've seen it before. There it is. Just make sure that the centre spindle's the right mess. I'm going to have a look for another one. I think there's one in my toolbox. So let's pull that up out of the way. There we go. Yeah. There we go. That, folks, is one finished and lubricated and ready to go back in mechanism. Pull that centre spindle back out. I'm sure I've got a better one of these in my toolbox because that's manky, it's horrible. Could do the nice shiny one, but sure I've got one. But I'm really happy with the way that's gone back together. I mean, and guess what? Look at this. Everything I took off here, I put on here, and guess what? No spare parts. Nothing left over. Everything else here can't go on until this is back in. See, that's how it should be. All free and perfect. Now the bits that do get lubricated are, I've already said this, but I'll go through it again. The mechanism, yeah, it has been lubricated in the factory. Right, let's have a look. Because it does tell you. Oh, you put a little bit on the gear teeth as well. Tells you gear teeth, bearing and cam track on gear. Yeah. So you put a bit on there. These are just, what do you call it, troubleshooting. That's just a troubleshooting guide. I want to find a bit where it tells you. It does tell you about lubricating that pawl, and you shouldn't. Unloading. To unload the changer, raise the control arm to its highest position and swing it into the position over the tone arm. Rest. Yeah. It's called the control arm, not the overarm. And I want to see where it tells you not to lubricate that pawl. It tells you in here somewhere. Here we are. I think it's in here. 39. 39. Oh, it's spelled P-A-W-L. And my spelling was a bit off. I apologise for that, folks. The actuating pawl, 39, forward to the turntable, moves forward. Hang on. As the record continues to play, the actuating slide, 66, moves forward to the actuating is moved forward by, while the record is playing, the tone arm moves slowly toward the spindle. Actuating slide is moved by the pin on quadrant to make contact with actuating pawl. As the record continues to play, the actuating slide moves the actuating pawl toward the turntable hub and gear. On each revolution of the turntable, the projection on the turntable hub pushes the actuating pawl out of the way to prevent premature change cycle. This is possible because the slow movement of the tone arm while the record is playing, when the stylus enters the record lead out groove, the tone arm accelerates rapidly and actuating pawl 39 is moved far enough to cause engagement with the projection on the turntable hub. The contact between the actuating pawl and the turntable hub projection gives the necessary push for the teeth in the cam gear to mesh with the teeth on the turntable gear to initiate a change cycle. Automatic shut off. Yeah. Turntable assembly. Tone arm assembly. Standard spindle, yeah, okay. Yeah. Adjustments. I'll go through all that when I come to the adjustments. I don't want to lose these pages, I want to keep in order if I can. But yeah, they show you different heads that the arm actually comes with. Yeah, it shows you all the different types of heads that is possible to come with. But it does tell you somewhere, but I can't remember where, not to get oil on the actuating pawl, because otherwise it won't work properly. trying to find out where it tells you that. I might have to just call it quits on this video in a minute because I'm not going to be here all night fucking. I'm going to fuck it. You don't lubricate it, it's as simple as that. I read it somewhere but I can't find it, but I know you don't lubricate it. This actuating pole here, you don't lubricate that. You put a bit of oil on there maybe, yes. It's already been done. But you don't lubricate the actual plates of the actuating pole. You don't because it can't move and it binds. And anyway folks, join me in part 4 when I reassemble it. Thanks for watching, bye for now, more to come later. Hi folks and welcome back to the BSR rebuild, stripped down rebuild 101. Right, what I've actually done now, I've actually cleaned all the paint, well, most of it, and you can see where it was oxidised here, look. I've cleaned all that, it's all nice and smooth, ready for new paint to go on. And I've got some nice paint ordered to go on this. It's going to be black like it always has been. It's so the surfaces are all nice and smooth and prepared. You don't prime these because you don't put a thick lower paint on them. You just put enough to cover it. And what I'll do, I'll put a thin layer of paint and probably a very thin layer of lacquer to just toughen it. But where we're up to now folks, we've got the bottom all cleaned, as you can see, and there's the top. I was tempted to get all the remnants of paint off and polish it up, but because it's got scars on it I've not decided. Besides it looked better black, like it's always been. So we've got that ready to receive its paint. And we've got the mechanism. I know you're just dying to see it again. We've got the mechanism, which has been all, as you know, I found another one of these because the one I had was all marked and rusty and crappy. This is a nice shiny one. I found this. Believe it or not, of all places, it was on the floor in my hallway. God knows how long it's been there. But that's what we've got. And I'll put that in there so it doesn't. There we go. And if I just hold that steady, there we go. That goes up. That jumps into position. There we go. And all this works. Look at that, all nice and smooth. Perfect. And all this works. I did have a bit of a query. Let me just get my pointer. I did have a bit of a query about this device here. This cone-shaped device, which way it went on. But if you put it on the other way around, this is all floppy and whatnot. So it obviously goes that way. So it's obviously that way around, because otherwise it's all floppy and it doesn't seem to work very well. Whereas this way it's right, and that sits in the hole there. So the actual that's right, and this do for here. I'll just lift this up because it gets in the way when the deck's not, when it hasn't got the thing on. There we go, look at that, we come all the way back, and there we go, look at that. Perfect. And that's pushed down by the control arm. And the control arm is this do for here, and I've not cleaned that, so we'll give that a bit of a wipe. Not cleaned that, I mean that's only needs a wipe. There we go. And that's that, you see, that's the control arm. What most people call the overarm is actually the control arm. Anyway folks, this is just this is going to be part 3, as you know. So we're on the home straight now. I'll polish them screws up a bit. I've ordered some paint from my friend Mick, and hopefully that should be in tonight. So we'll get it painted either tomorrow or Monday. And just to update you on the fur coat no knickers project, I'm waiting for the regulator to turn up from China, and as soon as it does, we'll be back on with that job. As soon as that regulator turns up, we'll be back on with that job. And I can't believe how well this has turned out. You know, I mean, there's I've put grease on it where it needs it and no grease where it doesn't. So this should now be happy for many years to come. This shouldn't need touching now for a very long time. I wouldn't have thought this is going to need touching for a long time now. Probably long after me. But they do reckon that you lubricate it once a year. But nobody ever did. I mean, people played the records on it, never lubricated them. I don't know of a single one of these that was ever serviced. But, you know, this one's been done. It's been rebuilt. Well, it will have been. This one will have been rebuilt. It'll be as good. It'll be as good as it was when it was new. Won't be. Pardon me, I've got a frog in my throat. What I'm actually going to do as part 3, because I might as well, and it's done and it's out of the way. I'm going to service yon motor. Get the motor, and we'll get the motor serviced. The motor doesn't need a lot. Needs cleaning. It does need cleaning, that's for sure. But given that it needs cleaning, what I'll do, given it needs cleaning, what I'm going to do, I'm going to spray a little bit of oil into the bearings. There we go, that's one. And a bit into the bottom. There we go. And this needs cleaning anyway, so it doesn't matter if I touch it. There we go. Perfect. Look at that spin down on that. Look at that. Is that ever going to stop? Let's just wipe that excess oil off the mat. Is that ever going to stop? Oh, it has done. Right, let's put this back into here. We don't want to be losing any of the bits off this, do we, folks? We don't want to get to the final furlong and say, oh, fuck me. What the fuck have I done? I've lost that bit. So we don't need to, we don't want to get to the final bit and the final furlong and say, oh fuck, I've gone and lost something. We want everything to be where we know it's going to be. So I'm going to put that back in there now, because that's been done. Didn't take long to service the motor. I mean, you don't always have to strip the motor down. I mean, sometimes you do, but you don't always have to. It's not essential that you always strip the motor down. I mean, you just, I clean sometimes. I clean more often than not does the job, and that's all you really need. So all you really need is just a bit of a clean up. I'm trying to find, I mean, that's got something in there that feels a bit grubby. There we go. There we go. That's tone arm related. Make sure I don't lose nothing. Because you start losing things off these, and you start not having the bits to put back in. Give that spring a clean. You start losing things, you start fucking running out of things to it. You start losing parts, you have nothing to put back in them, and the parts for these you can't get unless you find another deck. And given that, there we go. Given that I actually like this, I think that's about it, folks. I don't think there's much. Don't think there's much more I can clean. Clean these. I mean, these will get a bit of lubricant put back on them as they go back in, but for now they can be just cleaned. I mean, luckily enough, the grease on these is not too fucking bad. These are all, what's this? What's that from? It's not off the overarm. No. It's off the mechanism somewhere. Oh, I know where it's from. I know where it's from. It's from there. From the speed changer. Yeah, that's where that's from. I mean, I don't want this apart too long because you start to forget where things are from. And I don't want to go through down that road where I can't remember where something came from. And I've already had enough fucking about doing that with the manual last night, and that was only a couple of hours. Oh shit. And that was only a couple of hours. But, you know, we're, let's bring the base plate back up, make sure my finger's not greasy, too greasy anyway. Be getting washed again before, be getting cleaned again before I put it back together anyway. I'll give you one last look at that, folks. And that's the plate, the main motor board, as some people call it. I call it the base plate. That's all done. Ready to be reassembled. Well, ready to be painted, and then ready to be reassembled. Thank you. If it didn't have these blemishes, I'd have polished this up and left it silver. I'd have just give it a coat of lacquer. I'd have give it a good polish and then a coat of lacquer. But as it's got these blemishes, I've left it. I'm gonna paint it. Anyway, thanks for watching, folks, and more to come later. Bye for now. Hi folks, I just thought I'd give you a quick look. There we go, look at that. That's me deck. It's with these 2 cans of paint. That's my deck, folks. It's done. Well, it's painted. And to be perfectly honest with you, to be perfectly honest, nearly drops it. To be perfectly honest with you, folks, I am really, really pleased. Look at that. It's not perfect, but there again, it's better than what it was. You know, that's a lot better than what it was. What I'll do now, I'll leave that now, and I'll leave it to, I'll leave that now to harden, and tomorrow we can start to assemble all the bits and get it, you know, get it looking like it should. How about that? That's, oops, there we go. I mean, there was actually just enough paint in one of these. These are pound shot sprays, and there was just enough paint in one of them to actually do this deck. Just enough. I mean, obviously you lose a bit because you're spraying it, so a bit gets caught in the wind because I sprayed it outside and shit like that. But you know, I am really, 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 really happy with it. I mean, there's a bit here where I've missed, but there again, BSR never got full coverage on them either, so you know, I can live with that. The turntable hides all that anyway. Most of this is taken up by the turntable, so you know, once it's, I can't believe how good that turned out. Wow, that is nice. I mean, another coat would have been nice, but you can't put it on too thick. You got to be careful. But you know what I'll do when it's what I'll do probably tomorrow when it dries. I've got some clear lacquer. So what I might do, I might put a very, very thin coat of clear lacquer across. You know, just to harden the surface, just to toughen it a little bit. But yeah, I am very, 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 very pleased with the results, and I mean, admittedly, it's not, you know, it's not factory, but it's not far off. I mean, let's where's the remote control for the there we are. Are we on or off? Let's pull the aerial up just in case it needs it. So we'll go up. There we go. Whoop, there we go. Whoops. Zoom out a bit. Need the other remote. There we go. Well, look at that. And you can see the way the light hits it. Oh wow, I'm really pleased. Do you know, it looks better on camera than what it does in person. Well, actually, to be honest with you folks, no, I'm going to take that back. I'm going to take that back, actually. Actually, it's got a couple of dust on it, but there again, most of that's fucking hidden anyway. And it's not even tacky now, that. But I'm not going to do nothing with it yet. I'm going to leave it because I want it to dry and harden before I start to reassemble it. And when I reassemble this, it's going to be reassembled on a clean towel, because I want it to look brand new when I've done it. I've gone to all this trouble, you know, to make it look this good and service it. I may as well have it looking as best as I can get it, and I want it to look like it's new. So I'm going to polish the transit screws and everything. And I'm really happy, folks. Anyway, like I say, look at that. Just get the remote for the camera, the tripod. Oops, wrong way. Look at that. Oh, me belly. Oh, look, folks, me belly. Me belly. There we go. But look how nice that is. Well, not me belly. Look at that. I mean, that's it. I mean, it's not a factory, but it's not far off, and I think, to be honest, you see, you can't put layers of paint on them anyway, because you've got to allow for moving parts. You've got to allow for the turntable. Mainly, you don't want the turntable binding on anything. So, you know, but I can't believe how well that's turned out. I mean, I'm really, really impressed. Really, really happy. It's got a nice shine. Yeah, it needs, you know, it needs a bit of a polish, but it looks like it's got a bit of an orange peel effect, but I'm not going to even try to sand it or wet and flat it down or out, because, whoops, I better put it down, folks. I better put it down. I'm going to end up dropping it. Anyway, this is the end of part 3 of the BSR refurb. Part 4 is when I'm putting it together. It's gone from a rebuild, to a restore. Now I've painted it, it's now a restore video, so we'll be giving it a good, I'll be giving it a good polish. I might even give it a lacquer, see how it looks see how it responds by giving it a bit of a lacquer, but we'll see. But really I could have done with two tins of the gloss, but he only got me 1 of the gloss and 2 of the matte. But I'm not bothered. I mean, I'll use the matte. I'll use the matte in conjunction with the lacquer. But I mean, these were. I think these were a matte finish anyway, weren't they? Looking at that one there. But then again, you have to remember the paint's faded on them. I think they were a matte finish, matte sort of finish anyway. But yes, I'm really pleased with the way that's turned out. I mean, I couldn't ask for better results. I mean, there's a bit of coverage around here which I've missed, but you know, BSR never got them fully covered anyway. I mean, there was places that they missed, but you know, what we need to do next is get the metal polish out and get these transit screws polished and buffed, get them to a nice shine, just the tops of them, and get them to a nice shine. They're not that bad as it is, considering. Oops, and get it all back together. But I'm not putting it together tonight because I don't want to destroy it, because I'm really, really pleased, and yeah, I think it's turned out nice. As George Formby would say, it's turned out nice again, hasn't it? And indeed it has. Anyway, folks, thanks for watching, and more to come later. Bye for now.